Hello, fantastic first graders, and welcome to your math lesson for today. I want to thank you for sticking in there yesterday with our math lesson. It was a little bit longer than normal, but we had some really important things that I wanted to cover before you did your activity. So I want to encourage you today to make sure you're participating. When you're just sitting there staring at the video or listening to me, it makes the video last kind of long. But more importantly, our brain is not growing. Our brain is just staring at a screen, and sometimes it gets distracted by the things around us. So for today, your goal is to really participate. If I ask you to count with me, I want you to be counting out loud. When I ask you to write something on your board, I want you to actually write it. Because not only will that help you get through your lesson quicker, but it will help your brain grow. Our brain is a muscle that we need to keep getting stronger and stronger. And so when you're just sitting there watching instead of participating, it's not helping our brain grow. So let's get started with math. Make sure you are participating and writing down the answers when I ask you to. And then at the end, you will have an activity. So today is Tuesday, August 25th. 2020. And here's what you should be able to do by the end of this lesson. You should be able to count by fives, forwards and backwards. And we're going to do a lot of practice with that today. You should be able to write tally marks correctly, and you should be able to count tally marks correctly. So that's what we're going to work on. It's important that you have your dry erase board and marker. If you don't have that available, then make sure you have your notebook and a pencil. Those should all be there in your learning area, so grab them if it's not close by, and we can get started with our work today. All right, here we go. All right, some of you might recognize this from kindergarten. It's a hundreds chart, and we're going to use that today to help us with our counting, because some of us can count to 40 or 30 or 100 or 55. We might be at different spots in our learning, and that's all right. So we're going to use this chart to help us so everybody can count right now. I'm going to do a quick highlighting to help us with our brains and getting focused on the numbers that we're going to use. We're going to first count by twos. All right, so just to help us, when we're counting by twos, these are the numbers that we're going to be counting. Some of you might know counting by twos as skip counting. And that's a good way to say it because we're skipping that first number and then we're saying this one. Then we skip the next number. Yesterday we practiced whispering that number in between to help our brains learn. Today we're going to look at the numbers that are colored and we're going to count by twos. I'm not going to make us go all the way to 100, but I do want us to count a little bit further than 20 today. All right, so get your brains ready. Here we go. Count with me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50. All right, we'll stop right there. Now I want to practice counting by fives. So let's get rid of that. And if we're counting by fives, we're going to start with 5, and we're going to skip until we get to the next 5. So we've got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's our next 5. And since we're using our chart, we can just go all the way down because those are the numbers that we're going to hit when we're counting by 5s. All right, so get ready. I want to hear you. Your family should hear you. Those of you who are just sitting there like this, your brain is not growing, and we need it to grow. Here we go. So let's start with 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. All right. And our last group that we are counting by is we're going to count by 10. So here's our 10. And we're just going to go all the way down on our number line to count by tens. Here we go. Get ready. I want to hear you counting. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. All right. You're going to see that hundreds chart a couple different times in our math lesson because, again, it's really good for us to see something, to say something, and to hear it. When we're using all three of those skills, our brain remembers it even better. Seeing, saying, and hearing it. All right, let's take a look at what's next. Here's that number line we saw yesterday when we were practicing counting by 1s and 2s. When you did your activity, you were filling in the text box the missing numbers counting by 1 and then the missing numbers counting by 2s. Today I said that we were going to be focusing on 5s, counting by 5s. So get your brain ready to count by 5s. We're going to start at this number. This number is 35. So let's count together. I should hear you count. Here we go. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. All right. Now let's take a look. Where is our 35? It's at the end. So now we have to count backwards. So let's turn our brains, turn the switch, because we're going backwards. All right? This one's a little bit trickier, I think, to count backwards by 35. So we're going to do it a little bit slow, and I'm going to write it in as we do it. All right, so we're at 35, 30, 25, 20, thank you for saying it out loud, 15, 10, 5, and then 0. So now let's count it together. So count it with me. We're going backwards. 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0. All right. Now that 35 is in the middle, so we're going to kind of fill it in counting forwards and counting backwards. All right, so I want you to help me out. Let's see, our brains are already turned backwards. Let's do our backwards one. Let's go backwards. Help me out. So we're at 35, 30. Good. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. All right, now let's go forwards. And forwards is a little bit easier even for adults. So turn your brain because we're going forwards. 35, 40. 45. Whoa, some of you are going too fast for me to write. Hold on. 50. 55. 60. All right, nice work. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, get your board and marker ready because here's where I'm gonna want you to help me out. All right, so get your board and marker ready. If you don't have it ready, push pause, go get it. You should have done that at the beginning, but maybe we forgot. And if you don't have a board and marker, then you'll need your notebook and pencil. But that is one thing that was on that supply list, so I want to encourage families to really get that board and marker. We'll use it a lot during this distance learning. We use them a lot when we're back in school. And if we go on another hiatus, then you're going to want it at home ready to go. And now would be the time to buy them rather than later on. All right. So you can see I've got some numbers written over here, and I have some tally marks over here. We're not matching. We're going to actually fill in the correct answers. So over in these blocks, we're filling in the tally marks, and on these blocks, you're going to be writing the number. Now, if you remember from that first and second lesson, when we do tally marks, the one thing that we have to make sure of is that we're doing 4 lines and then we cross them for the 5th. All right? That way, it's easier for us to count later on because we can count by 5s when there's a group of 5, but it's also a way to organize our data. So when we start doing numbers that are like 80 and 90, you're going to want a quick way to write those instead of drawing a bunch of little circles or a bunch of little lines, and then all of a sudden you have to go back and count them because you lost track. So let's take a look at number 5. On your board, I want you to show me the tally marks for doing 5. What are the tally marks for 5? Go ahead and show me on your board, and then we'll see if we match. All right, so on your board, you should have drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross it. It's okay if you cross it in the middle, if you go down the side, or you go up the other way. We just want to cross it to know that that is a group of 5. All right, now on your board, show me 8 tally marks. All right, let's see if yours matches mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, what'd I do? 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you match? Awesome. All right, do number 12. All right, let's see if our tally marks match. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got it? Match? All right, let's see 15. All right, let's check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 3 groups of 5 make 15. How many of you got all 4 of them right? 3 of them right? 2? 1? All right, sometimes even getting 1 correct is okay because maybe you forgot up here, but by the time we got to our last one, you got it correct, and that means that your brain figured it out, it grew and learned something, and now you're on the right track. All right, so for this one, your job is to count them and then write the number for me on your board. Remember, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But your brain should go, oh my goodness, that's a group of 5. 5, 10, 15, and then I would count on 16, 17. So go ahead and count this one and write the number on your board. Okay, I'm going to count it by groups of 5. You might have counted it each one, and that's okay. So I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Let's go ahead. How many tally marks are there? You don't need very long for that one, do ya? 2. 1, 2. That's it. It's not 11. I hope you didn't write 11. It looks like an 11, but they're just tally marks, so it's just 2. 2 tally marks. All right, and here's your final one. I'll step out of the side so you can count all of those. All right, now as I'm looking at that, I'm realizing it might be kind of tricky because there's this big line here. So if you counted that line, that's okay. But for the tally marks, we've got 5, 10. So there's 10. If you counted this little guy over here, because it kind of looks like it might be long, you might have had 11, and that's all right too. All right, so today we practiced counting by 5s. We practiced drawing our tally marks, and we practiced counting our tally marks. Your activity today, you're going to click on your assignment. You'll see that you have kind of a whole bunch of tally marks that are in there, and your job is to type in the number of tally marks that you see. So you're really practicing counting those tally marks. All right, so thank you for joining me today. I hope that your brain got a little bit bigger, and I will see you tomorrow for math. Bye-bye.